Today we are going to check out some 172 modern British infantry from Enfilade figures. Now these figures are absolutely lovely, and if you're looking at these thinking I want a set, you can find them at Enfilade figures. You can go to shop, and then they've got a few different theatres of war that you can select, but we're going to select Afghanistan and NATO, and on there you can see they've got some British, some German, French, as well as US on a different page. So yeah, lovely modern range. We're going to be looking at some of the Taliban later on, but the question is, how on earth am I going to paint some 20mm British modern infantry? I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with the MTP uniform as well as the DPM in camo. I really like this look. It mixes the two camos up really nicely, so this is what we're going to try and achieve. Let's have a look at how we do that. So to start off with, I'm going to give my miniature a Tamiya Surface Primer Light Grey Prime, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit the uniform with my beloved khaki Vallejo paint. Now we're trying to achieve this MTP camo scheme on a tiny figure. It's going to be tricky, and it was tricky. I'm still not 100% with it, but it's got pretty good feedback on social media, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to release a video showing the way that I've done what I've done so far, and if you guys want to adapt it to your painting needs or try and improve on it, that'll be great. So I've painted the uniform. I shouldn't have painted the helmet cover, so don't do what I did. We're going to be painting the rest of it, the vest and the helmet cover in medium grey, so ignore that I've painted that helmet cover in khaki. Please paint that in medium grey because we're going to be giving it a DPM helmet cover opposed to the MTP. So the MTP is just ever so lighter. It's almost impossible for my camera to pick up the colour here. It's a little bit lighter than the actual reference photo I'm using, but at this scale I'm really not too fussed. And then that medium grey I'm also going to use for his shoes. Now for the band around the top of his helmet, I'm using Russian uniform World War II. This is a common practice on British infantry by the looks of things. I'm not exactly sure what it's there for. So if you've been in the British military or you understand what I'm actually painting here, please do let me know below. But yeah, you can also paint the patches on either side of their sleeves if they've got them in this colour, which some of the figures do have. And then for the marksman rifle, I'm going to paint the metal part of it in black grey. You can use reference photos for these rifles as well, obviously. The British rifles aren't your standard sort of M4. They've got their SA-80s as well as their L7s, so they're machine guns, light machine guns, and stuff like that. So I'm painting this marksman rifle in that colour as well as the top of his helmet, which I believe this is just like for your NVGs if you've got them. And then there's some parts of the rifle that I'm going to be painting in old wood. So in this particular rifle, it's the stock. There's also the attachment points for like torches and bipods and whatever else, lasers, whatever else you're going to attach to the side of your rifle. They're going to also be painted in that sort of sandy colour as well. Then the actual magazine, which is the same on the SA-80s, I'm going to be painting them in basalt grey. So it's just a little bit lighter in colour than compared to the actual rifle itself. Now we want to go ahead and give our miniature a wash of no oil and technical medium at a 1:1 ratio. That's just using the wash with the applicable thinners at a 1:1 ratio. So it's not going to be so sharp, it's not going to be super black wash. And just make sure you don't let it pull. You just mix it around nicely. And then once that's dry, it's all about going over that original base colour. So we're not going too crazy because we're going to be whacking on an intricate camo scheme very soon. So I'm going back over the uniform in that khaki. You can see I'm leaving that original base colour in those real dark creases, and the rest of it is getting a nice lick of that khaki paint. Painting the sleeves as well, and the rest of that arm too. Once that's done, we want to put the base color, the base camo color down, which is like a green. It's a very light green. So I'm using Splinter Blotches 2 for that. And this is going to take up a fair chunk of the uniform. So you can see that I'm painting about 60 to 70% of the uniform in this color, but in irregular shapes all over the place. Thick blotches, but all over the place. Some connecting, some not connecting, interwound and not. You sort of get the gist. Hopefully you can make it out just with the lighting and such. With that done, we then want to hit it with that real dark brown. So I'm using burnt umber for that, and it's all about making like irregular little lines. So I'm doing like a little V here, like a little T, just a little line, a little like bracket looking thing, you know, just little tiny lines. Don't have to do lots and lots of them, just mix it up as many as you want, whatever you think is going to look really good. Now I'm going to be missing out the really light brown on this, so I'm actually skipping a step. I'm sort of cheating, but I just think it will be blown out. Too many colours will make it just look a little bit too silly. Then the main colour on this uniform that's really going to make it stand out is the white. Now I don't just use straight up white. I think it's just a bit too bright, so I'm using white grey, which is just slightly dulled down, which the grey would suggest. And I'm doing the exact same as what I did with those burnt umber lines. I'm just adding in irregular lines. So some lines have got a curve on them, some have got a couple of dots at the end of them, some of them have got just a nice straight line. Just mix it up as much as you feel comfortable with doing. And then for that sleeve, we've already given it its base colour of khaki just before we put the camo scheme down, so then we can hit it with a highlight of khaki and Iraqi sand. It's really important that you hit it with that highlight because it's going to make it stand out. It's not just going to blend in with the camo and you're just going to ignore it. You might not even see that it's a rolled up sleeve of that uniform. So if that highlight is just a little bit brighter, a little bit lighter, then you're going to be laughing. Now we're going over the webbing with that medium grey, as well as the helmet cover, which I painted in khaki, but you know what, I'm just going to paint straight over top of that khaki with this medium grey. So again, this is quite rushed. I'm not really too bothered if I don't make it look 100% because I'm going to be putting on another load of blotches on here. So yeah, you're gonna make it stand out quite nicely. And you're going to know it's a camoed assault vest. And then for his boots, I'm just using this medium grey. The boots weren't really detailed much on these Enfilade figures, so just keep that in mind. The rest of the miniature was really nice. The boots were lacking in a lot of detail, but by the time you've weathered them and that, it's really no problem at all. Then for those light brown patches, I'm using German Camo Pale Brown. It's almost a really close paint color. It just works a little bit better for this smaller scale, and it's all about adding in irregular like brush strokes. So if you use your reference photos, just throw in all these little irregular sort of brush strokes and really try and get them in the nice flat areas. So you can see the helmet covers. It's a really nice way of doing it, and I'm just throwing in, quite rushed, just all these different random shapes that have been brushed on or got a brushed on effect. And then with that camo done, we've really done the bulk of it now. We just have to tidy up. So we're using that Russian uniform again for that green band, as well as if he's got patches on each sleeve. So I'm painting pretty much that whole strap bar, the outer edge of it, and the edge on each side. And then I'm giving it a Russian uniform and German camo beige World War II highlight at a 1:1 ratio. And I'm just adding in a couple of lines, so a line on the top, a line on the bottom. They might meet in the middle, and then they might go back into being their own individual lines just to break it up nicely and make it pop a little bit more. Now going over the medal, we'll just use black grey again. These weapons have lots of detail on them, so they are really easy to paint, and I thoroughly enjoyed painting these modern miniatures in the 20mm scale. I didn't think I would have this much fun painting them, but it was a real nice change of pace. So if you want to see more modern stuff, perhaps I'll get some of the US or Germans or French. You let me know, because I really enjoyed these. And then black grey and basalt grey at a 1:1 ratio. The other question I've got for you guys is, what war game would you recommend playing these with? Maybe I'll get a little 4-4 table ready for like a little Afghan game. If I've got a squad of these, get a couple of squads of Taliban, we could maybe throw in a couple of wargaming videos. So I'd be interested to see what people would recommend for those, because I really do want to put these on the table because they do look so cool. And then finally, for that rifle, I'm using basalt grey as a final little highlight. You can see I'm adding in very small little highlights here. It's a very delicate step, and one that you should just take very lightly. Don't rush it. Just pick out all those beautiful little bits of detail that the figure's got. You can go with silver at this scale, but I just think, you know, a dark grey just looks a little bit more realistic, and actually looks quite nice. It doesn't pop just as much as obviously a silver would. And then for the magazine on that marksman rifle, we use basalt grey. So we're using that highlight colour again, just to put the original base colour down, because we will highlight that now with a bit of Stonewall grey from Vallejo. They're all from Vallejo, but yeah, you can see that magazine just really pops now. It's a really light grey, which is great. You can use other greys, obviously it doesn't have to be Stonewall grey, just a really light grey will do the job nicely. And then for parts of the rifle that have that like desert colour to them, I'm using old wood. So this is the butt stock, and obviously the little rails for all the additional attachments. There's quite a bit of detail on this, same with the SA-80 that they've got with these miniatures as well. They've got that rifle. There's plenty of details on there as well that you can pick out. This rail has little lines, so you can just add those in there. Paint those in, paint along the top there, and then once you've done that, you can hit that with old wood and Iraqi sand at a 1:1 ratio, and now you're just picking up those raised edges and just starting to give some definition to those parts of the rifle. You see just very light little maneuvers, scratching in those details and really starting to make that pop. But obviously the rail there, just adding little lines, just a little line across the top, a little line across the bottom, and bosh, that rifle's pretty much done. We can then add in like a little lens for the scope, so I'm using Luftwaffe uniform World War II. I also put this on the SA-80 scopes as well. So it's up to you. If you want to just leave them as that dark grey colour, that's fine as well. But I think the Luftwaffe blue is dark enough that it doesn't look unrealistic and adds just an additional element to the figure. And then just to highlight that, I go Luftwaffe uniform and white grey at a 1:1 ratio, but I actually water it down quite a bit just so it's not so strong, and it ends up becoming a bit more transparent, which gives it a really nice effect. And there we go, he's all done. So I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously I'll go ahead and paint the face, that and that now, but I've got a 172 guy for painting skin, so you can go ahead and check that one out if you're so inclined. So there is the finished model, all based, all painted from head to toe. So yeah, awesome model. I really enjoyed painting this modern British Infantry section. So I'm definitely going to have to try and get myself some of the other nations that Enfilade figures have. Huge thank you goes out to them and the team there for sending me out these samples. They are absolutely lovely. Please do go check them out if you want to get into this sort of thing. They do have other theatres of war from different time periods, so yeah, please do go and check those out. Huge thank you goes out to my Patreons and YouTube channel members. You guys are absolutely awesome, and a special mention, as always, goes to Oscar and to Patrick for your continued support as those Panzer Aces. I'm going to leave it here, guys. Let me know below what you want to see next, and I will catch you at the next one.